mysterious. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to WABAN, the movie and TV show podcast, where an expert on the subject discusses things with the average viewer. And I'm your host, Nim, and today I am joined by The Flash.
Yeah, how's it going?
Wow, you got here quick. Did you just travel from the other side of the world?
Yeah, I need to grab a coffee, or 100.
You need to eat a lot of food because you're heightened metabolism.
Yeah.
That is actually a fun detail with the character in this show, where it's like he's constantly eating because like he actually has to.
I do really like that because it does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I know I watched a little bit of the live action show for a while, and they always like, yeah, I can't get drunk because, you know, metabolism's too fast. It's just a buzz for an instant. It's like, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. That would suck, man. Can't even get drunk properly, don't you? So anyways, we started season 2 of the Justice League. We watched 14 episodes. So again, these are all like pretty much all, well, actually they are all 2-part episodes. So we'll go 2 episodes at a time in our discussion. So starting with episode 1 and 2, which are Twilight. And this one is the one with Darkseid and Brainiac.
Oh, right.
Just as a reminder. But I guess before we really get into it, I will ask this, because I was thinking this. Do you think this so far is an improvement on season 1? Because I think based on all the episodes we watched, I think it is. I
do. Like, Superman is a big part of it, but also just combat in general. They got a lot more interesting with it.
Combat, and I think generally the storytelling is more interesting too. Like, I feel like I was more invested in the stuff that was happening, you know?
Yeah.
Generally. So it definitely, yeah. I think it's, you know, starting off with these first 2 episodes, which I think really, I mean, obviously Superman is kind of the main character in these first 2 episodes. It's about, you know, the main villains are like Darkseid and Brainiac, you know, which are kind of like super big Superman villains. Well, I guess Darkseid is like, he's a Superman villain, but he's also like a main Justice League villain as well. But
right. It's kind of like a Thanos-esque character.
Yeah. So, you know, you can tell that the characters have like a history together, obviously probably in the Superman show. So, you know, I mean, it's probably the classic, like, he's trying to, I don't know, I forget what his motivation was. I guess he's trying to gain a lot of power, but like
Darkseid?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but like, there's also something with the anti-life equation. He's trying to like, that's like a thing. I don't fully understand what that all means exactly. It might be like him trying to find like a key to immortality, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's the basic gist of it. It's an immortality
plot. Which is why he was trying to attack the place. I forget the name of the place, but like the place of the gods or whatever. Like that was in the sky.
Right.
And then they attack him back and they're like, no, get away from us, Darkseid. And then Brainiac is like,
reenaction.
Yeah. And then they're all like, what? Come on, Superman. Why don't you trust Darkseid? Are you sure he's up to something? And Superman's like, yeah. I love when he says, I would bet the farm on it. To Hawk.
Yeah.
I'm like, but does she know that you're Clark Kent? That you were raised on a farm? Because I felt like he still kept his secret identity.
I mean, definitely to people, but maybe not to actual other supers.
I don't know. I thought it was supposed to be that, like, they all kind of, well, not all, but, like, some of them do. Like, Flash keeps his secret identity from the other superheroes, and Batman and Superman. Obviously, like, a lot of the other ones not necessarily, because, you know, obviously everyone knows he's Jon Stewart, and
right.
John Jones is just himself, and then Hawkgirl Well, she still has a lot of mystery around where she came from.
Yeah, I know.
That will come up.
Ooh. I mean, it came up slightly, but not really.
Right, but the questions will be answered, is what I'm saying, like fully. Because I feel like a lot of the other characters, you have a pretty good idea of. Well, actually, you really do know where all of them came from. I think you have a really good background for all the characters except for her at this point. Like, she's from a planet called. It's the. What do you remember the name? Thanagar? Thanagar?
It's something that starts with a TH.
Yeah, I think it's Thanagar. I wanted to say it because it starts with a TH. I wanted to say Themyscira, but I'm like, no, that's where Wonder Woman's from.
There's honestly, I can't remember what I was thinking of, but it was close to that. It might have been like some other thing that they mentioned before, but
no, I'm pretty sure it is Thanagar. Thanagar. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is that. It took me a second to remember, but yeah. So, but that's not relevant yet because we'll get into that story later in the show. Anyways, like more of her backstory.
I do. This whole conversation started about him saying, "I'd bet the farm on it," which, while odd, I do like the personalization of it. Because that shows that he specifically is serious. Like, nobody else would say that.
Right.
But knowing anything about Clark Kent or Superman, you're like, oh, that's something really important to him.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. Yeah. But yeah. So, I don't know what there's to say about these episodes. I actually did I think one of the best parts of these episodes was kind of that end part where Superman just is going to stay to essentially die just so we can make sure Darkseid doesn't escape, and Batman's like, come on, don't be an idiot, let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was an oddly intense moment for Superman, for any Superman, I think.
Yeah, which I actually really liked. It kind of added more, added that, it kind of showed you just how much he hates and despises Darkseid and just wants to see him gone, kind of.
Right.
And it really tells you that they definitely had an intense history together of fighting each other, which I know is definitely in the Superman show.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually I'm gonna watch that show, probably.
It's the kind of thing of Superman always tries to save the people, even when they're bad guys and all this. Even when there doesn't seem like a way to do that, he still tries.
Right, but not with Darkseid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of moment where he draws a line in the sand.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to see that line of somebody who you never thought you would even be anywhere near that line for.
Yeah. And it takes Batman pulling him away. And Batman actually has to forcefully pull him away. They don't even have that moment that you would think they would have of having, in a show like this where it'd be a character's I'm gonna do it, and then he's then the other character comes in and tries to talk him out of it, and they're like, you're right, I'll leave. Okay. They don't even have that moment. He tries to, but then Superman's nope, pushes Batman away, and then Batman has to pull him through the portal himself, and then he's even after, he's still pissed at Batman. There's that one part, I forget what he said, but there was he it's right up to Batman, he's what did you do that? He's or I forget what he said, but he was very pissed at Batman.
Yeah, it was not even Darkseid could survive that, and he goes up to him and is you're not always right, or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was. He's you're not always right,
Mm-hmm.
But he is, because he's Batman, so no.
It's kind of his character.
So yeah, I like that. And also I thought it was interesting, everybody's escaping and they're we need to go back for Superman, and Batman's the one who's you all go, I'll go get him, and everybody just kind of trusts him, even though it's Batman, the one with no powers, the one, they're in this he can't fly him out of there, it would make sense for I don't know, Green Lantern to go, right? Because he could easily fly out of there, and protect himself with his ring from the space, from the vacuum of space. But no, Batman's like, I'm gonna get him.
Yeah, no, just Batman's the character that no matter how impossible it seems, he always has an equalizer.
Yeah, he's always got something.
That.
Well, right. He decided to carry one of those portal things with him, and that's why that was his plan, Yeah, no. So, yeah, I think it's a strong start. It does a good job at sort of improving the character of Superman right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think...
character and strength.
Yeah, which I think was maybe the idea of these first episodes, because I think they got a lot of criticism in the first season for that character specifically, for Superman specifically, and they realized the issue, and they're like, okay, we're gonna start right off the bat, have episodes dedicated to fixing that, essentially.
I mean, it's a good plan, and they did it.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, and then they do a good job at deciding when to include certain characters too, continuing forward. Like if they have an episode where it's like, oh, Superman could beat this guy way too easily, they just don't even have him in the episodes.
Yeah, he's off doing something else.
Yeah. Because they're like, oh yeah, this would be yeah. So I like that. But yeah, we can move on to the next episodes if you don't have anything to say more to say, because I don't have a lot more. So next, these ones are titled, episode 3 and 4 are titled Tabula Rasa, which I don't know what that actually means, but basically it's the one about the android that Lex Luthor manipulates. Right. Which I think these, again, it's another few really strong episodes, I thought.
I did really like this one, yeah. It's an interesting premise for a villain. Right,
because, in reality, he's not even really a villain, right? He's just being manipulated. He doesn't really know what he is. He was just created, so he's very, naive. Because, there's a phrase, I wasn't born yesterday. Well, he probably literally was born yesterday, right?
Yeah, just about.
So he's very naive, easy to kind of trick. So Lex uses that, and yeah, and that's kind of...
I do like the whole overarching plot, because there's a ton of stuff in the middle, but before you have the moment of them sending off Martian Manhunter Jean to go and search for Lex, right?
Yeah.
Which sets up the whole thing where he's not there to get scanned at first, because they know that at the very end, when he does get scanned, Lex can no longer trick Mr. Copycat.
Well, right. That was that final moment, which I thought was really clever, because I forgot, and I vaguely remembered these episodes, very vaguely. And I couldn't, and I remember the character, the android and everything, and how it could copy their powers, and I couldn't remember how they defeated him. But right. It was literally, and they were like, don't come. We don't want him to steal your powers. Then he'll be way too powerful. But he's just watching the battle unfold, and he realizes, wait, Lex, this guy's just doing this because Lex is manipulating him. Oh, so let him steal my power, and then it's just a genius kind of thought process there.
Yeah, it's, if you can't beat him, just make him not fight anymore, and he was just fighting because he was tricked. So just mind read.
Give him the ability to read Lex's mind and be like, wait a minute. Yeah.
I do like that. There's also something to be said about, though, that the entire build up to it is pointless. Right? Because in that moment, it just all falls apart. Oh, none of this mattered. If this was done earlier, it would have been fine. But they do a good job setting it up so that it doesn't feel like that.
Well, right. And then that final moment where you as an audience member realize the plan, what his John's plan is, you're like, it's a nice little moment there. Yeah.
Yeah, the moment where he's just I have your powers now. It's yep, use them well. Like, that was the plan.
Yeah.
Good job.
One thing, though, is I think it is kind of funny. One thing that I think is kind of funny is that this thing not only can mimic people's like abilities and powers and stuff, but he mimics their mannerisms and way of speaking.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain times where there was like he would say a line of dialogue, and I'm like, that sounds like something Batman would say, or that the one when he sees what's her name, Mercy, for the first time, and he like zooms over like the Flash, and he's like, "Hey, baby," like I don't know exactly what he said, but you know, something along those lines. You know, Flash's normal thing when he sees a woman, and I'm like, oh, that's a Flash line. Like, he literally just like picks up their personalities too.
Yeah, he's like just this weird amalgamation of characters by the end of it.
Yeah. And then he leaves to find his place in the universe, I guess.
I don't know.
Which
he flies off just so that they don't have to fight him anymore, which it kind of makes sense. It kind of doesn't.
Well, because like at this point, he realizes he doesn't really have a purpose as far as he knows, right? So it's kind of like, what am I doing staying here? I'm good. Like, he has the power to just fly wherever he wants in the galaxy. Like, you know what? I guess I'm going to do that. Let me find purpose somewhere in the galaxy, I guess, whatever. Like, I think it works. I do think he returns somewhere in, like, maybe Justice League Unlimited. I think there's, like, an episode where he returns. But
that'd be cool, but I have no idea what they would use him for.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as a kid, I watched the one where he returns before I watched this one, actually. So I didn't actually understand who he was. I was like, but yeah, that's not in this series. That's in Justice League Unlimited. And it's like he wants to kill Lex Luthor or something, and like the Justice League is protecting Lex Luthor. I think was this. I don't remember beyond that, but yeah. A really nice episode. I don't have much more to say about them.
I just really like the idea behind the villain and the way that they defeated it, or repelled him, I guess.
Yeah. No, it was really cool. And it was just kind of cool to see. Like, I just thought he was an interesting character, I guess. Like, just the kind of like new, trying to find his place in the world, very naive, easy to trick, you know, very gullible. And then him trying to like slowly learning. It's cool. Next is the episodes 5 and 6, titled Only a Dream. So you can probably tell which ones these are based on the title.
I can for once.
Yeah. It's the Dream Guy.
Yeah. What was it? Dr. Destiny?
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, this is like, I feel like a lot of things have that type of character where they like kind of attack you in your dreams, or like trap you in your dreams, kind of. It's similar to like the Nightmare on Elm Street type of thing, right? You know, you get attacked in your dream. Don't fall asleep or he'll attack you in your dreams.
I mean, that's what people do, right? They create stories about things that they don't understand, and dreams is probably pretty high on that list.
Right. Well, and it creates this sort of like fear of like, oh, don't fall asleep. You know, like there's like Batman is doing everything he can to stay awake. He goes into a coffee shop. He's like, make it a triple right now. Let's go quick. And he's like breaks his window, which, did the Batmobile windows not roll down? Like, I guess
I
not.
have no idea.
Because he literally just punches through them and breaks them.
And you think they'd be bulletproof at least?
Not Batman proof. Not Batman fist proof, you know. And he starts playing just this, like, some repetitive, like, kids song or something. To like really annoy the guy when he tries to like get into his head, which is hilarious.
Is that what we was humming?
Yeah. He played it in the car.
Oh, that was the radio. Same song.
Yeah, and then he was humming it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's I don't. It's just there's something funny about like Batman humming like a like cute little kid's song tune. Like that's just. It's just funny because it's Batman, the dark, brooding guy, and then
that instills terror into all criminals.
Right. Exactly. I liked these episodes. I thought they were cool. It was kind of cool to see like what the different dreams were, and like sort of because all of them kind of had to do with people's like greatest fears, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think, which this was actually an interesting thing is, so Hawkgirl's dream was sort of about claustrophobia, stuck in a coffin kind of thing.
Right.
Earlier in the first episode, so the first episode doesn't really get into the dreams yet. The dreams don't start until the second episode, because the first episode they're like tracking down these other criminals who broke out and whatever. In the first episode, while they're tracking them down, Hawkgirl gets trapped in like a small space, and you can see she's like hyperventilating and stuff. She's like freaked out by it. So it's like the episode sets up that she's claustrophobic in like a one-off scene that's not really important to the rest of the episode, so that later when her dream is about claustrophobia, it makes sense. You're like, oh, that's like a big fear of hers, right?
I didn't even notice that, but that is very clever.
Yeah, because that scene happened, and it just felt kind of weird and out of place. I was like, oh, like okay, I guess she's like claustrophobic or whatever. And then she got thrown into the coffin in her dream, and I was like, oh, okay, because like the dreams are supposed to be kind of like what your biggest fear is, right? Because Flash's was the fear that he would one day he would end up being stuck, being way too fast for everyone, and I guess the Green Lanterns was like that he wouldn't
be alienated from his family.
Yeah, from his like community home and everything. Mm-hmm. And then like Superman's was that he would be too powerful for everybody and he would hurt people, right? So
yeah, they all really make sense in a very personal way for each of them.
Yeah, and I think they're all pretty exactly. They're all pretty accurate for like who the characters are. I mean, Hawkgirl's was just kind of like the claustrophobia thing, which was just kind of thrown. Like, I don't think I've really gotten that from her character before this episode. But that's
right. But we haven't gotten much from her character.
She's definitely the most mysterious of the Justice League characters for sure, which we already mentioned. Which, as I mentioned before, you will get answers to her character later. So yeah, and then we didn't end up getting to Batman's dream. I guess he kind of gave him that dream where like for a split second where there was like the stairs were going nowhere, and like there was all the stairs. There was that, but I don't know.
Right. I do particularly like Flash's dream though, because they don't really help him when they come to his dream. Because he's still too fast for them.
Yeah.
They just immediately slow back down.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of, like, their Flash, that Wally West, that is, scatterbrained and hits on chicks and, doesn't take anything seriously, really, actually takes a moment to, like, just calm down and think things through and gets out of it by himself. Which I really like that moment.
Yeah, no, that was really good. Yeah. And like just the whole thing of him walking around with everybody frozen was kind of an interesting thing too. Like, Yeah, I think his was one of my favorite ones of them. Yeah. So all in all, pretty good. I honestly, so far, I don't think that I have a negative episode. Like, I don't think there's any of these episodes that I dislike. Remember before there was definitely some in season 1.
Yeah, some of them were iffy, but at least so far, these are all pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say so. Do you want to move on to the next ones? Got a lot to cover, so might as well. So next is episode 7 and 8, titled Maid of Honor, which is the Wonder Woman ones where she like meets the princess and Vandal Savage is back. I told you.
Man.
I told you to come back. Yeah, because I remember before I was like, do you know of the character Vandal Savage? Yeah,
that's didn't at all.
Yeah, so that's basically his whole thing. Is he's just a guy. He's a regular guy, but he can't die or be harmed. Like there's a scene where she scratched him and it healed him immediately. Like that's it. Like he's not. I don't think he's like stronger than the average human or anything like that. Like he's just a guy who can't be hurt or killed. And has existed for like thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah, and he just uses like manipulating people and becoming a leader to them to get what he wants.
And the thing is, he's good at that because he definitely has like a high level of intellect because he's had thousands and thousands of years to learn things and to train his brain and to, like he probably knows like 50 languages. I don't know, like.
I mean, when you think about it, the idea that he isn't good with people would be much more asinine because like he's seen them in basically their most primal state all the way up to the present.
Yeah, he's seen all of histories.
Yeah, he should know exactly how people think.
Yeah, I think it was interesting because like whenever I watched the show originally, I watched season 1 long before I watched season 2. And I didn't know for the longest time. I thought he was just a one-off villain from those final episodes where, he was in World War One or World War II, not World War One, and everything and whatever. And then I finally watched this and I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's why he didn't age. That makes it. Yeah. Because at the beginning of the episode, he's just like, oh, that was my grandfather.
I didn't even think about the whole message back in time thing with that.
Yeah, because he sent the message from himself back in time to himself in the past. Yeah, he didn't travel back in time from the future. No, he just sent stuff to his past self.
It's odd that none of the Justice League were like, oh yeah, there was that. We know that there is Vandal Savage alive and well in our present. Why don't we go look for him?
Well, maybe they did. Yeah, see, that's the interesting thing. I don't know. It's like none of them remembered, or at least, well, maybe Wonder Woman didn't fully know that. I don't know. Because, like, technically the one who the only person he directly told that to was John Jones.
I think so, yeah.
So, I mean, although I feel like he would have told the rest of the Justice League that.
Yeah, that does seem kind of important.
Like, obviously they'll be like, oh yeah, this guy didn't age the past however many years. So he's probably still alive today. He's probably still out there somewhere. Like, I don't know, doing I don't know what.
I mean, they know he's alive. They know where the message was sent from. It was from their present.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Also, like, I think if your name is literally Vandal Savage, I mean, it's pretty obvious you're evil, right? Like, the name's Vandal. Vandal Savage.
I mean, you do have a point. Is it rude? Probably. But, like, no, you definitely have a point.
Okay, but, like, that's definitely not his original name. Because he was like a cave person, like he was like freaking, like that's definitely not his original real name. Like I don't. So at some point he adopted that name himself and just decided to go with it.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Actually, he chose that name. He chose like the most sinister name that he could think of.
Yeah, I always found his name funny. It's like okay. But yeah, anyways, I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, so I like the first one where like I really liked sort of the like Wonder Woman kind of trying to be like a normal person. That was kind of cool.
Yeah,
and like becoming friends with her, the princess, and everything.
Yeah, she doesn't really have a life outside of superheroing that we ever see, and so it was very refreshing to see that side of it.
That she's like trying to, yeah. And Wonder Woman likes clubbing apparently, so we know that now. So who knows what else? There's so many like little sexual hints in this show that I never picked up on, obviously, because I was a kid. I feel like there was definitely a few in this episode, but
I specifically remember the princess going, like, wanting to have one last bash, or many if it can be arranged, before she was married.
Yeah, she said, I want to go out with a bang, or many.
Yeah, that was the wording. I'm just like, this is a kid show. Come
on. And then she they go to the club, and she just like, hey, I got 4 men for us. Here we go, and let's hang out with them in the back room.
She called them party favors.
I got his party favors. And she's like a princess, so she probably is used to just getting men to just follow her wherever, Mm-hmm. Well, and then there was another weird scene. I didn't know the king, her dad, was like her his maid or whatever came into the room, and she was like gave him whatever. I don't remember, maybe gave him a drink or something, or gave him something, and she's like, oh, do you need anything else or something? And he's like, no. And he's like, oh, what about any other services? Or I don't know, it's just the way she said it. I was like, what?
No, I did pick up on that as well.
I was like, is that really implying what I couldn't tell if it just was said weirdly. I forget exactly what it was, but I was like, wait, what? I'm sorry. Is there other parts to this maid job that go?
I mean, she did say it while poisoning him, so maybe take everything with a grain of salt at that point.
Yeah, but but they made it sound like the way she said it. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
I definitely get what you're saying, but man was dying the next moment, basically.
The way she said it, and the way he was like, maybe later, or I don't know. He responded in a way that made it sound like that was a normal exchange for them to have.
I think he said that he'll call on her if she does, or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that, and I was just like, what? So the king has a maid / prostitute /
let's not get into
mistress / mistress. Yeah, mistress is a nicer way to put it. Yeah, there you go. I mean, I guess there's never any mention of her mother, so I guess he's single. So I don't know. Interesting. That was just, I was like, okay, all right, Justice League. Also, it is funny to see Wonder Woman is significantly taller than the princess.
Yes.
I know you noticed it.
Of course I did. It's what I do. I can't not notice it.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have much more to say. Oh wait, no. The Batman Wonder Woman kind of little hints towards a relationship. So there's the dance, and Wonder Woman guesses that he's Batman, that Bruce Wayne is Batman. She's like, I can finish that dance. And he's just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was a nice moment. I did like that she figured that out, and Batman's just like, no.
Is that the first time we see him out of the costume in this show?
It certainly is, yes.
Yeah, in the Justice League show, yeah. Because you don't see these characters out of costume very often in this show. It's very, very rare. So it's kind of I think Hawkgirl's the only one we've never... Actually, no, we've never seen Flash outside of costume so far.
Nope. Have we even seen Superman outside of costume?
I mean, I guess there was... Yeah, we have. We definitely have. In his house. Like when the dream guy got him, and then like maybe in the first episode there was like a scene where he was like in his house.
And then there's John Jones, who's like,
well,
that just is him. He doesn't really have a costume. Like, he has his original form, but...
And then he changed to the other one to be more like... to look slightly more human.
Right.
Yeah. Like Jon Stewart, we've seen out of costume, obviously. But, yeah. Anyways, I don't know if I have much more to say about those ones. We can move on if you'd like.
I'm all good.
I don't know if they ever developed the Batman Wonder Woman relationship more than that. Like, I don't know. I can't remember.
I mean, they're laying it on pretty thick every once in a while, so maybe like
a couple times, yeah. Next, we have Hearts and Minds Part 1 and 2, which is episode 9 and 10. So this is the Green Lantern episodes, the ones where we meet. Jon Stewart's like trainer, who he formed former girlfriend, I guess.
I mean, there was something going on there, certainly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're like sitting there like, oh, just like old times. Well, not quite like old. Like there's definitely like an implied past relationship there.
Have they been doing that more and more in this season?
Maybe. I don't know.
I feel like it's come up more often than the last season.
I think so. Yeah, I feel like this season so far has been doing a better job at like actually getting to know the characters, like as people. That's more too.
Part of it, yeah.
I think in general, not that the first season never did that, but I think this one is kind of digging into that a little bit more than before, which I actually appreciate a lot. But yeah, so there's that whole thing. I love Flash and Kilowog's character dynamic. They're a good duo.
Their little buddies, stuff that they have going on of him just handing him stuff to eat.
Yeah, he hands him the ice cream, and he doesn't even open it. He just eats the whole thing. Delicious. And then he hands him a VHS tape, eats it. Delicious. What did they call the ice cream? It was like something in Jerry's. It wasn't Ben and Jerry's, but it was something in Jerry's or something. It was basic. It was obviously a play on Ben and Jerry's.
I don't remember at all.
But like they probably weren't allowed to use the name Ben and Jerry's. So what was it? I forget. But yeah, so it was kind of nice to see just in general, like a little bit more of the Green Lantern Corps and just sort of Jon Stewart's history with the Green Lantern Corps. Because like obviously we don't see him with them very much in this show, so it's nice to see sort of like it's like obviously he has some sort of relationships with people in the Green Lantern Corps, like good friendships and like pasts with them, where he's worked with them before. He had to have been trained by somebody, you know, like. So I think it was nice to finally get into that. And she seems to be one of the most like well-respected Green Lanterns as well. Like she's the most like seems to be one of the most powerful, one of the most like not powerful, like the most like I don't know, it's hard to describe. Experienced, and she just like
skillful.
Yeah. She's
it like basically opens up with her why doing what you assume is sacrificing herself for what is remaining of her team.
Yeah, those two guys died, didn't they? Did they like legit die?
I mean, we saw them get evaporated, I think, so I'm pretty sure they're dead.
Yeah, it was Ball Guy and I don't remember the other guy's name, but those two guys were in that one episode earlier on. That sucks.
They were. Honestly, I was surprised when they did that because they just got turned to ash in an instant. I was like,
yeah.
You're not pulling any punches with this one, okay?
They're just dead. And it's like they didn't even just grab random... Like, they grabbed... Not that they're, like, super, like, important characters, but, like, they grabbed ones that we recognize at least and killed them off. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's like they didn't like grab like Green Lantern Corps members that we've never seen before. You know, it's just it's intense.
I do like. They never explained why his ring stopped working for a while, but I do like the idea of it because it served the wonderful purpose of giving like a visible transition to the audience from him focusing on his old teacher to focusing on Hot Girl.
Yeah,
because what like made him get it back was seeing her in pain and wanting to help her.
Yeah, it's kind of like her trying to teach him the same way she taught him before wasn't working because like he's already gone through that. Like his whatever mental block he's having now isn't the same as like what's happened to him, what he needed before, kind of.
Right.
But and it's nice to kind of see him like it's an old kind of maybe an old relationship that he held on to for so long, and it's like he's finally letting go of it and being like, yeah, that was the past. It's time to move on, kind of.
Right.
I like the Jon Stewart and Hawkgirl relationship. I think it's nice. I don't know. I just think they're a decent pairing based on like just their personalities in general.
I do also love the banter they have every once in a while of like, turn it clockwise. Did you say the clocks go at the other direction on your planet? Or I don't remember that name.
That Thanagar. I want to say it's Thanagar. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And then trying to think what else. I mean, then there's the whole main threat, which is like just kind of a cult, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Which that thing like turned those people into trees at the end. That was a little intense. That was interesting.
Oh yeah, they weren't really holding any punches with this episode.
I was like, oh shit, okay, because I was like, those guys are under his like power and influence, and I'm like, I thought he would just like take the power away from them and they'd be like spared or whatever, but no, just straight up turns them into trees. I was like, oh, like obviously the villain died, like he was gonna kill the villain. Okay, that made sense. But like all the henchmen, all of his like followers that were like going off to attack
into it.
All the people who were going to attack the rest of the universe or whatever just turned to trees. And then there's just trees flying through space now. Like, all right. It was interesting.
I did like that imagery though, because my immediate thought was like because originally we thought the whole fire thing was evil, but no, it's this like good tree primordial entity, and I saw those trees flying through as like a way of it spreading and trying to help other planets as well.
Right, whereas like originally those guys were leaving to go spread like more hatred, death, destruction to other planets, and then now it's switched to spreading life to other planets, kind of spreading life and happiness and stuff, whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, it is kind of fitting that the whole cult thing was like, you know, this one dude misinterpreting this thing and dragging everybody into it and doing evil. It was like, no, the actual entity that they're supposed to be worshipping is like, nah, screw that. I just found that very fitting for the whole cult ideal.
Yeah, it's really good. I liked it. Again, I think pretty strong episodes. Really strong episode for Green Lantern, specifically, obviously, because he's kind of the main character of this episode.
He had a nice little bit of character progression, if I can talk.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good. You ready to move on to the next episodes?
Yep.
Next we have episode 11 and 12. Oh, we're actually getting very close. I didn't realize how close we were to the end. Look at that. I feel like we're going through this quicker than normal. I don't know. Maybe not.
We might be.
these two are titled A Better World.
Oh, right. This one was a really good one.
Yeah, these are... I think it's really cool that the episode opens up in the alternate universe without telling you that it's an alternate universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just opens with, like, a normal, like, oh, the Justice League is trying to track down Lex Luthor. Okay, cool. Like, you know, that would be a normal way to start a Justice League episode, and then all of a sudden Superman kills him, and you're like, what?
And you can tell that he's in, like, the Oval Office and that he's president at the moment by the way that they're talking and where they are. And so you're very confused as to what you missed.
You're already like, wait, last time we saw Lex, he's like a fugitive. What? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a little weird. Yeah, that's true. So like, there's definitely hints to throw you off, to be like, this isn't right. And especially, you know, when they do 2 years later and they're like freaking, you know, dictators ruling the world.
Yeah, whole different suits. They're the Justice Lords.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. At what point, like, I knew it was an alternate universe from the beginning because I remember these episodes well enough to remember that bit. But at what point did you realize it was an alternate universe, do you think?
I mean, I knew something was up, like, as soon as they were in the Oval Office and Lex was the president. And then obviously when Superman killed him.
Then you're like, this has got to be like a alternate universe thing, yeah.
Well, I don't know if I thought of it at that point, but as soon as I saw, like, the very structured way that they were dealing with everything, I was like, nah, this is different. This isn't how it should be. Yeah.
It does somewhat remind me of the story of, like, Injustice, which I think Injustice was created after this. So I guess that, like, basic story idea was kind of a thing where it's like the basic story idea is that Superman takes things too far and tries to prevent crimes from happening by essentially becoming a dictator.
Mm-hmm.
But like the story of Injustice is that, like, Batman goes against him, and some of the superheroes side with Batman, some side with Superman, and they have, you know, whatever. So it's a bit different, but it's kind of this. It's like the same general premise. It's like in an alternate universe and whatever.
I mean, after the events of this episode, it seems like Batman's going to go against him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Although they all lose their powers, I don't know if that was a temporary thing.
I would assume it's temporary.
Yeah. But another interesting fact is like, so they already have their, like, you know, perfect world, their idea of a perfect world.
Their very structured and ordered world.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like 1984 like world, you know. You know, the classic book 1984.
Oh, that's what you're going for. Okay.
Yeah.
I was supposed to have read that for a class in high school. I don't think I ever.
I never read the whole book, but I read part of it. But basically, that's like where it's like the Big Brother is watching, and like that, like the term Big Brother came from, because it was like that's what they call it in it. It's like they're watching everything. I think the book came out in like the 50s or so, but it took place in the year 1984, basically. But so it's like that type of like you know, everybody is controlled, pretty much everything they do. Like one guy starts complaining about the service he has at a frickin' restaurant and how he doesn't want to pay, and then he immediately gets taken away and arrested. Like
that whole scene I really liked, because alternate universe Batman says, you know, this was his solution so that no boy would have to see their parents get killed in front of them in an alleyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they do this whole thing of like, yeah, our original Batman, that convinces him, that stops, and they stop fighting. But throughout this entire scene after that, it's very clearly our Batman just doing a ton of little things to convince the alternate universe Batman. Because, I mean, there's that coincidental setting that you just mentioned, but there's also the reason why they saw it, because he said, you have to enforce the little laws if you want people to respect the big laws. So he stops at a green light. Or at a red light, my brain. I am colorblind, but I shouldn't mix that up anyway. He stops at a red light. It's like, yeah, if you want to enforce all these laws, you need to obey them too. And then they see that. And there's a ton of other stuff that I can't remember that just gradually affect the alternate universe Batman to be like, oh no, maybe I was wrong.
Well, there's
about
especially
this.
That moment where he's like, they see what just happened with the guy getting arrested, and he's like, yeah, mom and dad would be very proud of you, or like what?
Yes,
he's like,
exactly.
Do you think they'd be proud of you? Yeah, and it was. I think that was like the final moment that made him go, oh shit, he's right. Yeah, it was really cool because it was kind of like Batman. It was just two like Batmans trying to manipulate each other, and that was just amazing.
Oh, and then, I mean, this whole thing started even before they were mentally manipulating each other, where our Batman's locked up and he's like, yeah, I couldn't get out of that, so you can't either.
Well, yeah, he's like, I don't know what to do because he's going to think of everything I would think of.
I did like the moment afterwards where, you know, Flash is the reason they get out because he speeds up his heart rate so that it looks like it's flatlining, right? And he's just like, yeah, he predicted all of my moves because he's me, but who could predict you?
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting thing, though, too. It's like Batman's good at being able to study and read people and know what they would do, like other people as well. But Flash has been dead in their world for over 2 years now, so he hasn't had a chance to like see what he's like for a while now.
Not only that, but the Flash is so like scatterbrained and obviously doesn't know the extent of his own powers if he just figured out that he could speed up his heart rate that much.
Too, yeah.
And so I imagine Batman was sitting there locked up and being like, I have no way out of this. I know the Flash is going to do something, though. I'll just wait.
He's specifically telling the Flash, he's like, yeah, I have no way out of this. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Like, you can find a way. No, that's really good. But yeah, and then, these are just, I think, really good episodes. And then when they go to, like, Arkham and you see all of the Batman villains lobotomized.
Yeah.
Like Two-Face, the Joker, Poison Ivy, yeah. And then like
there's the puppet dude as well.
Puppet dude.
The puppet was the one that was lobotomized, and I was very confused.
Okay, so that's a villain. I remember him from. I've seen like one episode of. I think he's had a few episodes of Batman.
I mean,
the animated series, but basically,
anything about it.
It's like a weird thing where the puppet takes control of the guy. Like the puppet is the mastermind, but he needs the guy to puppeteer him. Like the puppet's almost controlling him rather than him controlling the puppet. It's like I forget all the details, but that's why the puppet is the one that's lobotomized, because the puppet is the real villain, not the guy controlling the puppet. Yeah, it's like a whole weird thing. But
it was so eerie though, seeing all that, because like, oh no, this version of Superman has no qualms about just being like, I don't want to deal with you anymore, and I don't want to kill. Also, so you're just going to be brain dead.
Also, they just throw Doomsday in this episode, like.
Oh yeah.
But here's one thing so like Doomsday lands, and he's fighting Superman. Superman lobotomizes him, and I'm like, okay. Doomsday happened to land while the other universe superheroes were there, and the actual ones from that universe were in the other universe. Like, if he had timed it differently and he happened to land like while the regular ones were there, Superman would have died probably, because things would have wouldn't things have happened the way they do in Death of Superman?
I mean, that's a good possibility.
That's what I was thinking when I was watching it. I was like, I was like, oh, this is literally the last thing we watched last week for the podcast. We watched Death of Superman. Like, this is like the same thing, but it's like, oh, because it's the alternate universe Superman who's okay with just freaking lobotomizing somebody right then and there.
I didn't look this up because I am almost 100% sure that Doomsday is the one that when you kill him, he just revives and you can't kill him like that again. Which I think lobotomizing gets around that.
True, because you're not killing him. You're just... that could be a good point. I don't know. Because I don't think that Doomsday has ever been in these shows up to this point. I don't think. Maybe he was in the Superman show at one point, but I don't think he was. But yeah.
Okay. So, born in prehistoric times on Krypton. Cool experiment involving evolution. Released a humanoid infant onto the surface of the planet, where he was promptly killed by the harsh environment. The baby's remains were collected and used to clone a stronger version. This process was repeated over and over again for decades to form an accelerated natural evolution. The agony of these repeated deaths was recorded in his genes, driving the creature insane to hate all life.
Interesting.
I
don't know.
So that's how he got there, and now he evolves super fast, but I don't know if that's still an ongoing process that if he dies, he can still revive.
Yeah, I don't know. That might be somebody else. I don't really know. But, yeah. It was crazy because it was like Lois was there to witness him do it, and she's just like, that's not like you. Like, she literally said that, and I was like...
Here it is. Over time, and without the assistance of Bertrand's technology, the guy who experimented on him, he gained the ability to thrive on solar energy without the need for food or air, to return to life and adapt to overcome whatever he had previously killed him. There's the important bit.
So that is who it is. Okay, so I guess you're right. Yeah. But yeah, so I think these are some of my favorites of the season so far. I actually really I think I really like all of these episodes. I don't think there's any that I don't like, or like, I think all of them are pretty my opinion on all these episodes so far are pretty positive. Like,
yeah, I like all of them, but the alternate universe one was definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely up to this point, at least. It's because it's just a really good concept. If it's done well, it can be, like, just to see like what would have happened, like, if things were a little bit different, and then at the end, Superman from our universe says from the main universe is kind of like, I always come so close to crossing that line or something, like, but he doesn't, like, he holds himself back so much, or he says something along those lines.
Flash just reacts, oh, so you're not just a Boy Scout.
Yeah, that's right. He's like, never even got my merit badge. But yeah, because it was that moment where Flash was like, Superman, the alternate universe Superman was there, and he's like, you can't kill me, can you? Yeah, you're not gonna, like, you wouldn't be able to lose another Flash, like, well, whatever. But then there's that
last conscience.
Yeah, but then there's that moment where you think he's actually is gonna kill him, but then he gets like stopped instead. That's right. Lex helps them, and
yeah, it was this weird setup that makes it seem like they're going down the same timeline now as the alternate universe one. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go into politics now that I got my full pardon.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah. I don't think they ever go that direction in this show, but, like, that definitely could be, like, the implication, like. But yeah, so Lex kind of goes back to being free, because ever since that one episode in season 1, the first episode with Lex Luthor in it, he's been kind of a fugitive from the law, you know, which was kind of a contrast to what the character was like in the Superman show, where he was always this big business guy who was always untouchable because Superman could never actually prove him guilty or anything. And it was like in Justice League they finally did, and now he's a fugitive for the show. But now that dynamic changes yet again, because now he's pardoned and he's going to get into politics. So interesting.
Honestly, I really like. Well, no, I don't like the idea of Lex Luthor, but it is too relatable to be like, yeah, no, I'm fully evil. Everybody knows this. It's just anytime the superheroes catch me, they can't prove it in a court of law because I have too much money, so I go free.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like,
well, right,
could
and like
that at any moment.
Yeah,
but he's a Boy Scout.
He's right. That's the thing. Anyone, like the superheroes, could easily kill Lex if they wanted to, but they're not going to because they don't kill people. And there's definitely like worse criminals than Lex too, right? Like there's criminals who like want to destroy the world and stuff. Like there's worse villains who like their goals are typically worse than Lex, but still like.
And Lex does have a set of morals. They're just not good ones. Because at the end of this, he's like, I could shoot you all with this now too, but a deal's a deal.
Yeah. Well, if he did that, then I think he wouldn't get his pardon.
Yeah, but he'd be free to do whatever he wants at that point.
But the Justice League would be done. Yeah, he'd be able to take out the Justice League, which is something he's been wanting to do for so long. So yeah, really good episodes. I think some of the best parts were just the Batman back and forth between them, and then the creepy Arkham Asylum. Like that was really interesting scene. Like the Joker is just a freaking secretary at Arkham Asylum, like willingly.
Is it? Can we count that as willing?
Well, willing. I mean,
does he even have a will to be willing?
True. I guess like if you're lobotomized, it's like, yeah. Whenever I think of lobotomies, though, I think of the episodes of BoJack Horseman when you find out that like it was like the backstory of BoJack's mom and like BoJack's grandma was lobotomized by her husband.
Yeah, that's always been creepy. But I always think of the DLC from Fallout New Vegas. There's brains in jars that have little like they live in pods and they think, oh, the fleshy person, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You have your brain taken out and then you play that entire DLC without a brain, basically. It's pretty fun.
That's interesting. So we can move on if you want.
Sure.
We have 2 episodes left that we did. And that is episode 13 and 14 titled Eclipsed. Which
listen, people.
Yeah. So these are the ones with the guy, the weird like possession thing where it possesses people, whoever's touching the crystal.
Right.
But it also deals a lot with the whole like publicity thing of the Justice League. And like Flash just doing brand deals and like making not really helping out their publicity very well by just being himself.
Getting the Flashmobile.
The Flashmobile. He's like, what do you need a van for? Well, he's like a line there where he's like, oh, what do you like do in the back? What's the back of this van for or something? He's like, I don't want to know. I'm just like, oh
No,
my gosh.
there's a lot of implications in that van. Like the moment you see it, the moment they open it up, it's like,
And you're like, why would Flash want a van? Like, yeah, it's funny. It's like the Flashmobile. This is such a weird concept that doesn't make sense because he can get anywhere he wants in like an instant.
He could go faster with the friggin' car from Flintstones. That's what I'm trying to say.
yeah, that's the Flashmobile, just a Flintstones car. And then like the guy who has his news show where he's just bashing the Justice League, like, but it's like so obvious that he doesn't actually care. He's just doing it for the ratings and that's it. Because at the end he like starts saying that he likes the Justice League, like when he's like loses his studio, so he's just like in like a cheap ass like.
Not only that, but like when the Flash first comes on, he's like, white collar crime is up 5%, and 50% of marriages end in divorce, and the other 50% in debt.
As if that's the Justice League's fault.
Yeah, like, no, we deal with criminals, not any of that.
He's like, white collar crime. He's like, well, we don't really deal with. We're too busy dealing with like world ending events. So you know, like. But yeah, and then this is obviously more of a Flash focused episode. He's kind of the main character of these episodes.
Yeah, oddly enough. Most of the time, all the episodes that are like that, the hero has a connection to the villain, but this one just really doesn't at all. No,
it's just he happens to be the one who figures out what's going on before everyone else, because he talked to the crazy dude.
What happened to never mind, I do remember what happened to him. I was gonna say, did they just leave him in like the psych ward there? No, he was doing commercials, I remember now.
Which is like weird, because I'm like, he's not like famous like you. Like if people are gonna see that commercial and be like, who is this? Like when it was the Flash, it made sense because the Flash is famous. You know, people know who the Flash is in this universe, but and then the Flash is his agent who's trying to get Wonder Woman to work with him. You could do the swimsuit. You could be a swimsuit model. You'd be on the cover of the magazines.
What'd she call him? A sleazeball or greaseball or whatever?
Something like that. Yeah.
It's like true that.
Honestly, I think a lot of that part of the episode of like that side, I think was more entertaining than like the main villain stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it was still good. Like, especially like closer to the end when it was like Flash had to fight all of them. Like,
oh yeah, I did really enjoy that.
Which is all Hawkgirl's fault because she shatters the thing.
Yeah, Flash dodged it. Just like, maybe next time warn us before and they're all like ganging up on him already.
Flash is like, nobody touched that, and he's just like, and then Hawkgirl's like, let's destroy it forever, and I'm like, this is probably a bad idea, and it was. But it's okay because then the part where like Flash saves the day by like zooming down a Green Lantern, makes a bridge for him all the way to the sun, and he just zooms down.
I found that interesting because it was Superman said, even I can't fly that fast. And Flash is just, I mean, speed is his thing, so it makes sense. But also Superman, my whole thing with Superman, that shouldn't have limits because he's Superman. It's a lose-lose scenario.
Yeah. Well,
but it does make sense that Flash is the one that is able to do it.
I mean, I think it makes sense that Flash is faster than Superman, right? Because, like, Superman does have super speed, but like it would just be kind of annoying if the guy whose only power is super speed isn't faster than Superman. The guy who has every power. Like, it'd be like, oh, come on, that's your thing. You're not even the fastest. Yeah.
I mean, from a story standpoint, it definitely makes sense and is better.
Yeah.
I will just always have a little bit of hatred for Superman in the way of, like, you're not a good character for stories because you don't have limits, but when stories put limits on you, you're no longer Superman. So lose. I hate it.
Yeah. Well, the whole like Superman versus Flash's first speed was like a thing in the comics. There's multiple comics where they have a race.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times in the comics they made Superman win a lot of the races just because he's the more popular character. But then there was like one where like Flash finally won and he was like, I actually let you win all the other ones or something like that. It was like, I don't know. It was like something like that. I've heard of that before, but I don't know. I mean, I never actually read comics, so I don't know.
I know in the comics there's the whole idea that Flash can enter the Speed Force, and within there he is insanely faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a whole Speed Force thing. I think it's safe to say this version I don't think has discovered that yet. At least at where we're at now. Like, he seems like he still doesn't fully know his limits yet.
Right. I mean, he couldn't even, well, he didn't even know that he could speed up his own heart rate.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Yeah. One thing I will say, though, is this episode did make it seem like it was pretty easy to get access to nukes.
You know what? Yeah, the guy kind of just drove through a single checkpoint that was guarded by one dude.
Like, they stopped him, yes, but still, it was like... And then he turns into that one general. I'm like, does this general just have access to the nukes himself? Like, to launch them and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Essentially.
Like, I don't know how realistic that is. I feel like there's a lot more, in real life, there's definitely way more security on that.
I mean, you would think so and hope so.
Yeah.
I like how as soon as he saw the Justice League on TV, though, he was just like, the nukes can wait.
Change of plan.
I already got this thing. And I'm gonna go get a body that can actually use it.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I have much more to say about it.
No, I think I'm all good.
I think these are some of the weaker ones of the season so far, but they're still good. So, I don't know.
I really can't call them like weak or bad episodes because they're, there's all those moments, Flash fighting the rest of the Justice League.
Yeah, no, they're good episodes. They're not bad. It's just compared to the other one. Like, I think some of the other ones, a lot of the other ones were better of the season so far. But I think that's just a testament to how much better this season is. I think.
I don't know if I'd put it like anywhere below any of the others, but
it's
I do know for sure the previous two were my favorite.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the A Better World was like easily some of the best, but they were really good. But yeah, no, I couldn't remember because I remember hearing that season 2 was better than season 1, and I couldn't remember if that was true because I've only ever seen the entirety of season 2 once. I've seen some of the episodes I've seen more than once, but so I couldn't really remember it as much. But now that I'm watching it, I can definitely say that so far I definitely can agree thus far. I mean, obviously we still have another half of a season to go, but like so far it's pretty strong.
Yeah, I I think I like this season so far more than the previous one. I get more invested in it. Like, you were right in the nostalgia of it, which I fully understand. But this one has actually got my interest quite a bit.
Yeah. I just think the stories in general are just more interesting so far. Mm-hmm. And I think you get more character work and more just into the characters, I guess, which is always good. You know, because, like, you don't want a show to just turn into just a bunch of, like, cool heroes fighting villains and that's it, you know? Like, that
you want personality and character development so you can watch your heroes grow.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have much more to say, unless you do.
I'm all good over here.
Yeah, so I'm definitely excited for the rest of the season. The finale is really good. I just want to say that. I've seen the finale of this season a couple times, I think. I remember quite a bit. And there are some, like, looking ahead, I don't remember them all, like, in extreme detail, but from what I do remember, like, a lot of these episodes the rest of the episodes are actually really good. So there's like it ends with a 3-part episode, but that's because there's our only 1-part episode in the rest of the season, actually.
Oh, interesting.
So so it's like some 2-part episodes, a 1-part episode, and then the finale 3-part episode. So yeah, we'll do that next week, and then after that, I don't know if we're going to continue with. We might continue with Justice League Unlimited after that. I kind of want to, just because, like, I'm starting to, like, remember certain, like, parts of Justice League Unlimited, and I'm like, oh, that's really good. Oh, that's good. I want to watch that.
I always have memories of different sorts of Justice League shows pop up in my head. I'm just like, is that Unlimited? I think this one's Young Justice. What about this stuff? I forget.
Yeah. There's just all this different stuff. Yeah. So we'll see what we do next. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this week. Next week, we are going to be talking about another DC animated movie, if you believe it. I know we've done that the past few times. We figured, while we're doing a DC animated show, we might as well do cover some DC animated movies.
Yeah.
So next week is going to be Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, which I think is pretty good from what it's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah. So it's based on the show Batman Beyond, which is also within the same universe as this Justice League show. So yeah. Anyways, that's about all. So thank you, everyone, for listening. There's a new episode of WABAN every single Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And you can listen to the podcast in multiple different locations. I'm tired, right? I can't talk. In multiple different locations, including our YouTube channel, which is called WABAN. There's a link in the description to that. You can find the podcast there, and you can also watch some gaming videos that we did. We haven't been recording any new ones, but so far what we have is an entire series of us playing through, of more accurately me playing through and Cub reacting to Portal and Portal 2. And then also playing the co-op mode of Portal 2. So you can watch all that on that channel if you want. And you can also check out my YouTube channel, which is called Nim TV. There's a link in the description to that as well. I just recently came out with a new video, which is, I have a series called Trilogy Time, where I review movie trilogies. And I just uploaded one about the Dark Knight trilogy. So I'm actually really excited about that one. I think it turned out pretty good. So yeah. So that's more DC stuff. I've been all about DC recently, on this podcast and on my YouTube channel. So yeah. thank you everyone for listening. I've been Nim.
And I'm Cub.
Goodbye, everyone.